A very good afternoon. Today we shall talk about the different sources of innovation. Now, up until this point of time, I hope all of you have been getting a good idea regarding what innovation actually entails, the process of innovation, the different techniques practically where we're looking at innovation, but ultimately it all boils down to what the different sources of innovation are. This topic is like the glue that holds the entire of the first module together, because if you look at sources of innovation, you will start to get clarity about how this innovation concept actually works in the real world. I hope you've heard of this book called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by an author called Mr. Robin Sharma. So, Robin Sharma says, dreamers are mocked as impractical. The truth is, they are the most practical as their innovations lead to progress and a better way of life for all of us. So, this one quote beautifully captures the essence of people like Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and all these other innovators and titans of industry. Fine. We've defined innovation again and again and again, but the beauty of this is you can redefine and add new layers of value upon it. To be called an innovation, an idea must be replicable at an economical cost and must satisfy a specific need. So you see, we've added a new dimension here called replicable. An innovation, you should be able to replicate it. Cost should be economical to all. It should satisfy specific needs. So you see, the second innovation, the second definition in the middle here of innovation adds few more layers of value as to what we have defined time and time again. How can innovation actually arise? You see, it arises from many different sources. An individual can be an innovator. Lone inventors are people designing solutions for their own needs. Universities can be sources of innovation. Government labs can be sources of innovations. NGOs, non-profit organizations, can be sources of innovation. Fine. All innovations can be divided into two categories. First being evolutionary innovation, meaning this is called incremental innovation or continuous innovation. As and when technology and processes change, you have evolutionary innovations. Good example, 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G. Now slowly BSNL is trying to bring in 5G into India. So you see, mobile telecommunication technology has slowly and gradually evolved. Sorry, revolutionary innovation. I stand corrected. What is the engine of innovation? It's because firms who have an innovation based mindset or a DNA have greater resources than individuals. They have a management system. They have financial resources, material resources. They're working towards a collective mission and a vision. So, this is actually the primary engine of innovation, a firm or a company. Sources of innovation. So, sometimes you see, you have network of innovators that are working together. As we come towards the end of this presentation, I'll show you an example of innovation as a system. So, bear with me. This leads to powerful technological advances and changes. So you see, this star diagram shows you what different sources of innovations are actually there. You see right on top in blue, firms are the drivers of innovation, and you have the other four. And idea. Now, why am I talking about this? Is because when you are innovating, you need to produce something that is very novel. Novel meaning unique, doesn't exist at this moment of time. Should be useful, should be economical, should be practical, and should try and solve some inherent need that a customer or a customer set possesses. Yeah. This innovation may not be very resource rich. So I want you to understand the difference between the two. So one good example where organizations encourage creativity is through this thing called the suggestion box. You could have actually seen this. This suggestion box takes ideas from all different employees and actually executes ideas which are going to be practically and economically feasible. So Google utilizes one such innovation system which is driven by ideas. Honda utilizes employee driven idea systems. Now, translating this creativity into innovation is so crucial because you look at an inventor, they have wonderful ideas, excellent theories, abstract thinking, they have a lot of enthusiasm for problem solving. You can see, though he was an inventor, he had to utilize certain financial resources, look at it from a practical standpoint, take his innovations to the marketplace, and then he was ultimately successful. Fine. Innovation by the user. Now, this is something interesting because this originates with people who create solutions for their own needs. You are a user, I am a user. We look at creating solutions which help solve our needs. So, what users do is they tend to alter existing products for their own comfort. You see this thing which you see in front of you called the snowboard, mainly used in the sport called snowboarding, was innovated by users. These guys are users. Tom Sens, Sherman Poppin, Jake Burton Carpenter, Dmitry Milovic, Mike Olson, Chuck Barfoot. These are guys who looked at this product and thought, hey, why can't I innovate this in order for it to be useful for me? And voila, this snowboard was thus. Another source of innovation is going to be R&D by firms because firms utilize their research and development departments in order to create new innovations. Yeah, they use this research as either basic research to increase the scientific knowledge, no commercial application in mind. Applied research, you take this knowledge and use it for a specific need or for a specific application. One such example for a company which is the most innovative in the world today is the Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing Company. You and I commonly are aware of this company as 3M. You see, 3M does both basic research and applied research through their R&D departments. 3M does basic research to understand traffic problems, to understand road conditions. But 3M also found out, once I study road conditions and traffic problems, I need to come out with a practical application. So as you're traveling on the highway at night, you see on the road you have these things which blink just to keep the driver alert. Those things, ladies and gentlemen, are called cat's eyes, and that's an applied research by 3M company, for your information. Then this development is where you take these activities, you take the knowledge and produce useful devices, materials, processes. Yeah, thanks to COVID-19, all of us are under house arrest. Yeah. So one part of house arrest, of course, entails with cleaning the vessels. As you're all aware, I do the same as well. So while you're cleaning the vessels, you have this particular pad sort of thing which you use to clean the vessels. It keeps it spick and span. That pad which you use to wash your vessels also is an innovation by 3M. So you see, they took that knowledge, they made this small useful device, small useful material which helps in cleaning of your vessels. Apple pours huge money into R&D. They want to improve products. They don't generate revenue right now, but it might generate it in the future. So you can see they spent $2.8 billion in 2016 fourth quarter. They brought the segment to nearly $10.5 billion. I mean, now if you look at Apple, it's almost $1 trillion company, and almost 1% of their revenue goes into R&D. The reason behind this is They want to grow their product range. They want to expand into services. They want to develop in-house technology. Just showing you how much tech companies spend on their R&D to supplement innovation. So the approach of innovation here involves all these words that you see. You have scientific discovery, you have invention, you have engineering, you have manufacturing, you have marketing. Without these 5 words in front of you, innovation, for it to be commercialized, is always a bit of a hassle. Fine. During the 1950s and 60s, you had innovation which mainly were discoveries in science that were found out. Then you had companies which actually looked at these discoveries and put them into commercial application. In the mid 1960s, though, what happened was they looked at the demand of users and they created something called the demand pull model. Users are interested in something, so the innovation was driven by the demand of users. You see, that becomes a pull model. It is highly criticized because what happens is that organizations need to look at both pull and push models. Bear with me, I have this model, I'll show it to you shortly. So firms that are successful innovators use multiple sources of information. Companies do in-house research. Companies get feedback from customers. Companies are connected to another external network of other firms. They have linkage to research and development departments of the government. They have research and department based publications. This research and development based publications. These are other linkages to external sources. You see that? Firm links with customers, suppliers, sometimes with competitors also, and complementers. These are companies which are producing goods which complement the current market offering. Yeah, they form collaborations and alliances to work on a project. I'll give you an example. Just bear with me. So we can see just a graph for you to understand from the perspective of North America, Europe, and Japan, how companies are connecting with customers, with suppliers, even with universities. Yes, by all means. So you see, external sources of information will lead you to develop substitutes. External sources of information will help you get new knowledge, will help you supplement and develop your in-house research. Another source of innovation, I told you, is universities and government funded research, because research institutions, government labs, different incubators are bustling with ideas and innovations which companies take, practically implement and commercialize it. Universities encourage faculties to engage in research. This helps them develop certain useful innovations which are patented, earns money for the university, and puts the faculty in a very bright light. So technology transfer offices are there, where what happens is the technology which is developed in-house or with external linkages is transferred to another environment where it is commercially applied. So if you look at Stanford, if you look at Cambridge, if you look at Harvard, I'm talking about the Ivy League, the best business schools in the world. These guys have research and development departments linked to companies like GE, General Electric, SAP Labs, Robert Bosch. I was talking to you about not too long ago, Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing, where they transfer the knowledge and the technology to companies who can commercially apply it. Yeah, as I was telling you, look at this diagram here. This says technology push, market pull. In a technology push, you have the R&D department which produces the product, which markets the product, but here you are creating a need. Understand that. Push means you are creating a need. Observe below in market pull, there already is an express market need. So based on the market need, you are developing the product, you are marketing the product, you are manufacturing the product. So if you remember your basics of marketing for customer value, same constructs can be applied here as well. So university and government funded research happens through science parks set up in districts set up by the government in collaboration with universities, with private firms. You also have incubators. These are institutions which help in the development of new ideas, innovations, and businesses. This is what I was telling you called collaborative networks. So we have a cluster of firms in the same industry, common connections, common technology. They work with other buyers, other suppliers to form research collaborations. Technological spillovers, R&D from one organization to another, from one region to another also gets spilled over. Networks are formed. So this information can be channeled positively, it can be used with resources to generate some sort of innovation. You see this please. There's a company called Leica, manufacturer of lenses, and Huawei, you're aware about this company. They have a camera partnership and they have a joint R&D center. Similarly, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, all are joining forces to create AI-based partnership. What they're trying to do is they're setting standards for future researchers, they're setting standards for future innovations, they are setting standards for the growth of AI across the world. So just to summarize, you have n number of sources of innovation. Creativity is the driver of innovation. Innovation originates with individual inventors, sometimes maybe a community as well. Innovation can also originate with users creating a solution for their own needs. The R&D departments of firms are a primary driver of innovations. Firms can collaborate with external organizations. Universities are also indirectly contributing to the innovations landscape across the globe, and governments also play a very active role in conducting research and development. So with this brief about the source of innovation, I thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a wonderful day ahead of you.